Morning, Lizzie. How are you?
Great, thank you. You?
Yeah, really good. I just lost you there with the sound. That was weird. But you're back with us now, so that's good. So, how's things going?
Fantastic. Back at work, some sense of normality. So it feels quite a strange saying that, actually. The new normal.
What is normal?
So, yeah, it's great to be back at work, and doing what I love the most.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's it's the same for a lot of people, especially business owners out there as well. That are truly just wanting to get back into the real passion for what they do. Exactly the same as what you just said there. So, so is it Elizabeth, Lizzie, Izzi? What do you want me to call you today?
You know what? I'm glad you've asked me that because not many people know why. So Elizabeth's my real name. Lizzie's my nickname, and Izzi is just my kind of cover Facebook name. Because obviously with having a professional platform, people call me Elizabeth because it sounds professional, or more so than Lizzie Orridge Photography. But then once they know me, they call me Lizzie. So Izzi is just if somebody was looking for me on a social media platform, if they don't know me, they won't know to look for Izzi. So it's just trying to separate my personal life from my business life. Because it is very difficult when you think, right, I had a client contact me yesterday. What platform did they contact me on? And is it my work platform or my personal platform? So just trying to make, like teachers do, where the students can't find them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm Izzi K on Facebook. But yeah, start out as Elizabeth, and then once people know me, it's Lizzie.
Lizzie, cool. So I'm going to call you Lizzie because I feel that I've known you for some time now, which I'm sure we can get onto in a little bit of where we kind of met each other originally. But I want to dive right in with the first question, really, which is, if you weren't doing what you are right now, as in photography, what is it that you would be doing?
You know what? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. Hopefully something creative. Creativity is something that I crave. I like being able to have input. But in terms of job number 2 possibilities, I'm really not sure. Really not sure.
Well, I think that's when you found your true passion, right?
Yeah, and it's very difficult to find, assistant jobs or jobs in a photography studio because they're very few and far between, which is one of the reasons that I actually set up my own company, because trying to do what I wanted to do for somebody else was incredibly hard, hence, why I started my own business up.
Absolutely great. No, and it is that, isn't it? It's when you feel that you're restrained almost when you're working for other people. And you can't have your own creative side, so that's great move really on that, and it's been clear in your success as you've gone along that your creativity has really shone and worked in what you've done. So what kind of child were you?
Child, though. A creative child. Was always colouring, painting, drawing. We've got countless books and things of being a few years old. This is you, Mum. This is you, Dad. And I've always been animal based as well. So the amount of cuddly toys outweighs my dolls in my attic by about tenfold. So pretty much as I am as an adult. Bit creative, loves animals. A very, very happy childhood.
So you just found like your authentic self just at a much younger age than what most people do.
Yeah, so I've never been one for pretty dresses or whatever, but give me some colours and a dog, I'll be really happy.
Absolutely. So just kind of moving on to your journey, like you said, you've had this massive creative background, and it's what you did as a child right through to what it is that you're still doing now. Your love and passion. How did you start out on that kind of initial journey? Obviously, you've built this very successful company, as you are now. But how did you start, and was it always easy, or has there been challenging times?
Yeah. So I think everybody thinks their road to success is like this. Do you know what I mean? You start at the bottom and now we're here. And it's never like that for anybody. I left school and didn't want to go and do A-levels. I wanted another challenge, so I went to college. Went to go and do an art and design BTEC, which is still a really broad subject. We were doing things like ceramics, 3D drawing, life drawing. We're doing, quite, literature intense subjects as well. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I thought that was still something I could take several avenues from in later life. And photography actually was on that course, and that's where I really kind of started to enjoy it. But it was all film based then, obviously, where you've got your 35mm or your 120, you develop the film yourself, you print them yourself in a dark room. And I think because that was a hands-on thing, I really enjoyed that. So when I got to the end of college, I thought, well, the only thing I'm still really enjoying is photography. And although I've never thought I'd actually use it as a degree, I just thought having a degree says something about your character. You've given it 3 years, you've got a degree to put on your CV to go, your piece of paper. And I loved it, but I never actually thought I'd have a job at the end of my degree that was photography based, which is quite ironic now saying that. I entered the world of work as a marketing agent and for a huge company that sold oil filters, fuel filters internationally. And although I really loved people there, I didn't wake up in the morning and think, yes, another day of going to that office, talking the same talk at the same time, and the same phone calls, the same people. It was very repetitive. And there was a gentleman there, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me mentioning his name, called John Eastwood. And John said to me, Elizabeth, if photography is what you really want to do, just do it. He said, you're young enough. So at this time I would have been 20, 21. And he said, you've got no major responsibilities, no kids to feed, no mortgage to pay. If you do it and it goes wrong, so what? You're young enough, it shouldn't affect you. Give it a go. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then you go and get yourself another job. And honestly, I can't thank him enough, because that was the reality slap that I needed, of going, do you know what, John? I think you're right. Because give it 10 years, I wouldn't have been brave enough to do it. When you have a mortgage, you have a family. And that for me was just like the light bulb.
Sure.
And then from there, obviously it's grown and grown and grown, and I'm so thankful to have such an amazing client base. And I can't wait to get into work now, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. And it's great to kind of go, yes, I'll do that job, no, I won't do that job, or this is the idea, why don't we do this? And to be involved in other organisations like Mansfield National 2020, where hopefully I am making a difference, and I am meeting other people like me and helping them on their journey. So it's not just about me and my hat. I like the fact that it's very people based, and no 2 days are the same for me as well, which is something that I'm so thankful for.
Yeah, that's it. And it's it's keeping it fresh every day, like you say, that keeps the excitement going almost as well. But just on that, I mean, you've obviously mentioned that bit of advice that John gave you there. Is that the same advice that you would give, say to like a school leaver now who maybe doesn't have, a definitive direction in the kind of typical journey of where they think they should be going, as opposed to maybe a hidden passion that they've got?
I always think that schools should tell you about their third option. Well, the fourth option. You either leave school and go to A-levels, you leave school and go to college, you leave school and enter the world of work, but they don't really talk about going self-employed. It's one of these things that if you're not self-employed, you're petrified of it. And although I have the most amazing support system for my family and friends, none of my immediate family or friends, when I first started, owned their own business. So my support platform comes from the networking events and things like that. So it's one of these things that it's not scary, but every time you find a hurdle, you just ask the right questions, make a few cheeky phone calls. People are generally quite happy to help as long as you're not rude. I've had numerous cups of teas with people that have already got their proper job, got a mortgage, and want to go self-employed. And it's about making calculated risks at the right time. Does that make sense? If you've got this massive house, massive mortgage, 4 kids to feed, you can't jump from one ship to another without the ladder in the middle. But the ladder in the middle might be 2 years in the making, so you can comfortably do it. Being self-employed is amazing. It has anything up days and down days. Obviously, that's what's going off at the minute. But I'm very thankful to have a job that I actually really enjoy, and I do hope that kind of comes across today.
Sure. No, that's great. And obviously kind of touching on there, has COVID been one of the biggest challenges for you in your business to date?
Yes.
Yeah.
They always tell you, don't they, when you grow up, put a third of your paycheck away, put a third of it for a rainy day, just in case. And you always kind of go, yeah, we will. Even in a business plan, it's very hard to plan for something that you don't think will happen. So we started to hear about COVID about January, December-ish. But this time last year, if you'd have said to me, you'd have had to shut your doors for 3 months, the whole world would stop, you'd be like, no, just, stop pulling the
impossibility. How can you do that? Yeah.
So when lockdown started to happen, so it was what kind of March time, I had probably 4 days where the phone was just ringing off the hook, and every time one phone call ended, another one started. So I don't know if anybody knows, but I also do weddings. So I do about 25 to 30 weddings a year on my own. That's my maximum capacity that I'll accept. I've had 16 weddings this year postponed for next year. So not only now have I got all my 2021 couples, I've now got all my 2020 couples into 2021. So next year for me is going to be ridiculous. But I felt very, I was on autopilot. And I think taking those phone calls was, obviously my couples were distraught to be postponing and, not sure if it's the right thing or if they're doing it out of caution or, for me, it was just, thanks for letting me know. Don't panic. We'll sort it. I know as much information as you do. So I'm just going off what Boris is saying as well. And I just had this massive piece of paper in my diaries and a big red pen going, right, they've cancelled. Because some people were getting married next week, next month. And as I say, although it's not a very nice experience to postpone your wedding date, all I've been saying to my wedding couples is just think about the experience you'd have this year and the experience you'd have next year. Do you want to get married with just 30 people where you can't sing, you can't hug and kiss them, you can't go dancing with them because you can't have a reception? Wait, and have the celebration you want next year. So it's been difficult, but I think it took a while for it to sink in for me because initially I was just in there, yeah, it's fine, we'll sort it, don't be upset, not a problem. And as well, all my photo shoots for probably about 4 months cancelled as well. So yeah, within those 4 days, not good, but big picture, everything will be fine.
Sure. So 2021, you're obviously going to be busy, and a lot of people don't realise it's not just about taking the photos, is it? It's the behind the scenes that takes all the time up, the editing side and obviously things that I don't understand as well behind the scenes that, you do. But that kind of justifies, obviously, because people almost see it, don't they, in kind of photography. They go, wow, that's really expensive. But actually, you look at the value and the time that you have to put in to perfect that.
I worked it out once, Mark, and it worked out per hour about £3.60.
Wow.
So I know people will think, yes, wedding photographers, you must be minted. The answer is absolutely not. I do this job because I love it, not because I want to buy a Ferrari with cash.
Sure. Because you won't have the time to drive it anyway.
You won't be able to drive it either.
Sure. So next year you'll have a lot of editing to do around the additional weddings now on top of next year's. So obviously you met Sean as well. So since you started with Elizabeth Orridge Photography, you've met Sean along the way. How did you two meet?
On a night out, actually.
Okay.
On a night out, and we actually fell out the night I met him. We had a little tiffy, and yeah, started talking the day after on social media, and we've never actually fallen out since. And in 8 days, on the 9th of July, it'll be 5 years.
Incredible.
5 years. So very happy. It is a wonderful man. Not that I'd ever tell him, so I hope he doesn't watch this video. But, yeah,
I'll make sure it gets to him.
That bit. No, you know, he's amazing, and you know, I tell him in our own special way, you know, every now and again. But very thankful to have met him, and I'm very excited for what the future may hold for us.
Absolutely. So, realizing, just going back onto the COVID time and losing that amount of business so quickly, and almost then panicking of, what do I do next?
Yeah.
You know, what was your gut instinct? And, you know, what did you do at that point?
My gut instinct was just, I think like quite a lot of self-employed people, is you look at your outgoings and you think, right, what can I cancel, or what can I pause? What can I postpone? Obviously, some people are doing deferred payments for 3 months. So all those kind of things have helped. But for me, I actually got a job stacking shelves at my local ASDA store. So that for me was just a rent payer, basically. So I don't have a mortgage to pay at the minute, but I still have bills. I had, you know, a quarter of a year's rent to find within a few weeks. And I just kind of thought, I'm not about to sit on my bum and watch my business disappear over the next few months because it can't open. You know, I have worked very, very hard to get where I am today. And I'm not the type of person to kind of, you know, bow down and watch it disappear. So for me, an income is an income. It doesn't matter where it is, what it is. I'd have gone litter picking.
Yeah, whatever.
Not afraid to roll my sleeves up and you know, do some hard work at all.
Yeah, no, and that you know, that's credit to you as well for that, because I think the thing is, we're in a culture almost that there's an expectation where if things are in times like COVID as the prime example at the moment, people almost feel that, you know, there should always be help other than me having to help myself. So I think by you stepping out there and saying, actually, you know, I'll find another way to cover what I need to, is, as I say, it's just credit to yourself. So just brilliant work on that. And what, you know, how did you find it, you know, working back, you know, in a place where you've got a boss compared to being your own boss?
And a proper job.
Yeah, that's it.
A proper job. You know what? The having a boss element to it, I actually don't mind. You know, I'm in an environment where I know, you know, my opinion is not the one that matters. And I was just going in, getting my work done and coming back. But it was actually nights. It wasn't daytime shifts. It was all nights, obviously replenishing the stock on the shelves. So it's quite solo work. Obviously, once they know what you're doing, it's like, right, this is your department. Here's your 8 hours, go.
Yeah.
The work itself, I take my hat off to people that do it all day, every day, because it is very, very difficult work. You're up and down a ladder, the boxes are really heavy. You know, I was coming back with cuts up my hands where the cardboard had got me. Very, very difficult work. So if you do that all day, every day, I take my hat off to you. But the thing that I really struggled with actually was nights. The sleeping and the daytime element to it. It wasn't so much the work. I wasn't slowly getting used to it. And obviously once you find your feet with it, you know, you kind of just switch off and do the job. But it was the sleeping in the daytime and going to work at night that I found very difficult. Obviously, not done a night shift before, it's not easy. And obviously it was at a time where it was really, really bright in the day. And obviously because I don't do nights, I don't have blackout blinds, I don't have blackout curtains. Obviously you've got everybody in the garden, so it's noises you're not used to when you're trying to sleep. And I think after 4 weeks, Mum and Dad just took one look at me and they went, no more. You're shattered, you know, you don't look very good, you know, you've made enough, you know, to cover your rent, you know, no more. And I think the feeling was mutual. And it is also very difficult to keep your distance in an environment like that as well. So people would come and replenish your shelves. I think it was 10 p.m. to about 2 or 3 a.m. And then from 3 till 6 in the morning is when your online shoppers come. So if you do, home delivery over the internet, they actually come and pick it off the shop floor before the shop opens, which is fine. But you're tripling the amount of people you've got in the shop. And it becomes very difficult then. And obviously this was in the height of the pandemic when you're meant to keep your distance. And I think obviously, people are literally putting their lives at risk to go and get other people food. And I know that sounds really kind of quite honest to say, but there was a few times when I just thought, they're far too close. Far too close. So as I say, I'm really, really glad I did it. It was an amazing kind of comfort blanket for me that, I had some income coming in to keep my business safe. But, long term, I think 4 weeks for me. So anybody that does that Monday, Friday, 9 till 5, well, not 9 till 5, 5 till 9,
Sure.
They're incredible. They're incredible.
Absolutely. And, I say just credit to you again. Did you almost feel like you needed the green light from your mum and dad to say it's okay to say no more as well? Did you feel you needed that?
When you have that extreme tired feeling and you're like, oh, my eyes look like, oh, that's not good.
One of those.
But yeah, they did say, they were very proud of me for not sitting at home and, complaining about how bad the world is. I had gone out and I had made an effort, and I was one of the lucky people. I'd got people messaging me a couple of times a day, Liz, can you get me a job at ASDA? Like, I'm the recruitment lady for it. I'm really sorry, but you still need to ring the store. But I think, one of the things that I've taken from that experience is, I did put it online, but I didn't put it online for people to judge me. I put it online to go, look, I'm busy. And actually all of the positive comments and just the overall, warm feeling I got from that, people going, do you know what, Liz, good on you, was incredible, absolutely incredible. So no, it's been a great experience. Don't get me wrong, I was happy to hang me box cutting knife up after 4 weeks, but I am glad that I did it.
Good. And it's all about the experience, isn't it, as well? If you can learn something from it, just take one thing away. Mm-hmm. It's been a great thing. Was it when you left ASDA that you then saw a post on Facebook, or was it whilst you were still at ASDA?
Whilst I was still at ASDA.
Well, she was still there. So tell us a little bit about the post that you saw and how that's almost changed everything that you've done for the past, 2 months now.
So obviously with everything that's going off in the world, one of the things that people are looking for is uniform wash bags. So if you work in an environment where you are of a potential of catching COVID-19, one of the things your employer would ask you to do is actually take your uniform off as your shift finishes, put on fresh clothing before you leave, because obviously then there's no kind of cross-contamination of you going out, sitting in your car, going home, having a cup of tea, before you know it's on your settee. Then you found. So what they're telling you to do is actually to take your uniform off, put it in a separate bag, and then the minute you get home, you put that in the wash, including the bag. So it's about kind of, trying to slow the contamination possibilities. And I kept seeing it quite a lot, actually. And I thought, do you know what? I've got some time on my hands. Because although I was at ASDA, obviously it was they ask you what shifts you want. So I think I did 5 shifts back to back one week, and it nearly killed me. So I was picking up, anywhere between 2 to 4 a week, towards the 4th week. And I just thought, do you know what? I'll have a go. So we had I call it a family conference. We're all sat around the dinner table going, right, this is a picture of what I want to make. This is the fabric I found in the attic. And can we have a go? So between the three of us, that's me, mum and dad, they've been so patient with me. It's been incredible because I'm actually not a sewer. I think one of the misconceptions over the last few weeks is that I already know how to use a sewing machine. Nope.
You have to learn from scratch.
Yeah. I probably could have worked my way around threading it up, but, you know, it would have been wrong. I could probably sew in a straight line, but that I couldn't do corners. I wouldn't know. I just wouldn't know. So yeah, it was definitely a family effort. And
from complete scratch,
yeah,
you know, to where you are with it. So obviously, you've not always done sewing. So was it very much just giving it a go, watching a lot of YouTube videos?
I didn't even do that much, to be fair.
No. Just dived in.
So I had some fabric left over from trying to make bunting for the studio, and what I thought is, you know, I've had this fabric, I've been saving it for a special occasion. Like let's just use it. So I managed to make probably 8 uniform wash bags, and I posted them on my personal platform, and they went like that. But I'd still got loads of messages and comments of people going, you know, have you got any more? Can you make any more? Liz, these are great. Can I buy one? And then I kind of just thought, oh, we have an opportunity here. So what I actually started doing is trying to raise money through public donations. So I was making videos saying, this is what I want to make. You know, if you could donate me a £5, that would fund the fabric. And then that £5 would make, I don't know, 3 uniform wash bags for me to give away to people on the front line. And I had some amazing messages and phone calls of people that I know that I might not have seen for years going, Elizabeth, I really want to help people on the front line, but I can't sew and I don't know what to do, or, you know, can I give you some money to put in the fabric fund? And the answer is obviously absolutely. So I was literally, once I'd left ASDA, just getting up, sewing, having my lunch sewing, having my dinner sewing, having a couple of hours watching TV and going to bed. That was my lockdown experience. But I actually couldn't sew fast enough than the demand. The demand was that great. And I found out it was better for me to, rather than make one from start to finish, it was literally like, right, do one stage today, zoom, next stage the day after, you know, the top bit. And it literally was a production line. Our dining room table was just full. And people were ringing up and going, Liz, you know, I'm a radiologist at a hospital. You know, there's 8 of us on our team. Is there any chance I could have 8? And the answer is yes, of course you can. Just give me a few days and I'll do it. But people were contacting me from Manchester, Sheffield, London, Birmingham. So it's not just local. So I was actually also doing, you know, every other day going to the post office. Which is fantastic. But obviously I was sending all these uniform wash bags and posting it to them for free, because I wanted to do something that would help them that are helping us. You know, and it is a time where if you are on the front line, I imagine it is quite solitary and it's quite lonely, and people were actually like not giving up their family time, but they're going, right, I have a young family and I'm a frontline health worker. I'm actually going to move out of my family home to care for other people while the pandemic's there. So how could I say to them, that wash bag's, you know, £4.99, please? It felt right to do it for free. And it felt lovely that there was members of the public, you know, people I know, people I don't know, that was saying, actually, Elizabeth, I'd love to donate you £10 if that's okay, because all I was doing is going to a business, going to Tracy at Material Girl Fabrics in Sutton. So she was operating with her doors shut. So I'd never actually met Tracy. I'd never worked with her business before, really. I just cold called her one day and said, are you still selling? You know, and do you post them out? Because if you do, I really need to, you know, buy some fabric off you, please. And I'm literally ringing her twice a week, placing orders for fabric. And, you know, at one point, it was just ridiculous. I got a stack about that big of wash bags, posted them online, and they'd gone within an hour. So the demand was there, absolutely.
Throughout that kind of process, you know, all of the, you know, the assembly line that you've got going on at home, And obviously you've got donations coming in from people wanting to, do the £5, £10, etc., which is absolutely fantastic. There's also a business that came to you, right? And said, actually, we'd like to donate to you. So I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about
Absolutely.
that.
So the business that I'm going to mention is FRV Tailoring, run by John and Donna Sentence. Now, that couple, John and Donna, are actually one of my wedding couples. So I photographed their wedding a few years ago. And although I don't see them every week, which is a shame because they're fantastic, John actually messaged me and he said, Elizabeth, if you're struggling to find stuff, tell me and I'd love to help. So actually the top of the wash bag I was using ribbon for, like 6mm ribbon, and only tiny, but it was rarer than hen's teeth. It was getting really difficult to get hold of, even with the internet at your fingertips. So they actually sponsored me with red cord, and I just wanted to hug them down the phone. In fact, I probably did shed a tear when they said that. As well, what they sponsored me for is sponsored me for cotton. I was phoning Tracy and pre-ordering 10 reels of cotton because I was just sewing them that quick. It was ridiculous. And what else they were sponsoring me for is elastic. So one of the other things that I've begun to make is ear protectors. So these are what the ear protectors are. So if you don't know what they are, they sit at the back of your head, and rather than having a PPE mask around your ears, you put it around the button at the back, so it'd save your ears from being sore. So this is one of the other items I was giving away to NHS and key workers, but this item is what I've been selling to the public. So once the donations started to slow for the wash bags, I've been making these and selling these to the public for £3, which is not a lot, but each mask funded the fabric for 2 uniform wash bags. So although selling them to the public, I wasn't doing it as a business, I was doing it to fund the charity work, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Because kind of 8 weeks, 9 weeks down the line, the donations started to slow, but I've still got this amazing demand. So I just kind of needed to bridge that gap. And I thought, well, fabric face masks are going to be something that we're all going to need for public transport, going to the doctors, going to hospital. You can reuse them, you can wash them at 60 degrees, which does kill any bugs. It just kind of made sense to me. But I actually ended up raising £600 by doing that. And that was a point where I knew I couldn't sew that. And that's kind of where, the next stage has come from, really.
That's just absolutely incredible, to have raised that. I mean, how many, do you know offhand how many items, not necessarily just wash bags, but everything included, how many items that you've actually sewn during that period?
So up to today is 986.
So by you saying that, you're still going.
It's not as much haste as before, obviously now with my business being able to open from the 15th of June. But, I got very close to the £1,000 item mark, and I want to push past that.
Absolutely. So this is where you've coined the phrase of sew 1,000, raise 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. So how far are you away from target at the moment of what you were wanting to achieve, what you set out to achieve initially?
So my target initially was sew 1,000 item and raise £1,000. So I've only got 14 more items to make, and I've gone over the sewn target, which is amazing. So hopefully I'll do that before the end of the week. And in terms of the money target, I'm very happy to announce that I've actually raised £1,600 now. Wow.
So you've gone way over and above what you'd initially set out to do, with less items too. So great. That's absolutely incredible. So you've raised all this money, you're doing all this work, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you go from, right, I've got this money coming in, where am I going to donate it to? to making a decision around it? Because there's so many charities out
so
there
many
that are all in need of, you know, financial help. You know, how did you make that decision?
So I said very openly when people were donating to the Fabric Kitty kind of phase 1, the first few weeks in, the minute that I don't want to do it, or the minute that, you know, there's no demand for it, obviously I'll stop buying fabric, I'll stop buying everything, I'll just give away what I've got, and any money left in the pot I would give to a local charity or NHS. So, but we've got people like Captain Tom, who's done an incredible, you know, challenge for himself, and he's raised 35,000 straight to our NHS, which is amazing. But I kind of knew the NHS would be okay, because obviously everybody helps the NHS by paying taxes.
Yeah.
So I didn't want it to particularly go in their pocket. I wanted it to go to more the people that needed it, other, you know, frontline workers, you know, things like that. But starting to have a look around, because this is when I'd only got £600. That's still an amazing amount of money to give away to charity. And I thought, you know, I'm a Mansfield lady, Mansfield-based business. You know, the majority of the people that have either bought masks or donated have been Mansfield-based. Let's find something within our community that, you know, the people of Mansfield, you know, love and need. And one of the things I found was obviously John Eastwood Hospice. But upon reading about the hospice, I didn't actually realise how heavily they rely on, you know, public donations and fundraising. And obviously, at the minute, that's not going to happen. Sure. So I phoned the hospice over a weekend, and I spoke to a doctor who just managed to pick up the phone, and had such an incredible conversation with him. And he was so humble. Like, you know, I was kind of not bigging him up, but, you know, while he'd got time to talk to me, let's try and make him smile. But he was lovely. So obviously he couldn't answer the questions that I wanted answering at that time. So I phoned up again on the Monday, and the lady that answered the phone is a lady called Angela. Now, Angela is a volunteer journalist. So her job usually is going all over the world, doing stories, writing press. But obviously all of her stories and trips were cancelled. So she was a little bit like me, you know, I don't want to be at home bored, I want to volunteer. So she volunteered at the hospice. So she was the lady that picked up the phone in the office when I was going there, you know, hi guys, I've got £600 for you. And she said, Elizabeth, I really like your story. Can I run with it? So me being me was like, if it puts more money in the charity pot, then, you know, I'd do anything to support that cause. And that's kind of where the last few weeks have come from.
Absolutely, you know, incredible. And like you say, it's not just going back to what you said with Captain Tom. It's not discrediting, you know,
absolutely not,
you know, what he's done and the amount of money that he's raised. But perhaps that money, you know, could have been better spent or better gifted into local charities that really truly need it, that are still a massive support on the front line. But the NHS should be covered anyway through taxes, etc. So I personally, I completely hear you, you know, with that. But absolutely incredible that you've worked with now the John Eastwood Hospice, and, you know, off the back of that, obviously you've met Angela, who then introduced you to get you the introduction onto BBC, right?
Do you want to know something funny? I actually nearly didn't pick the phone call up because I thought it might be somebody selling me PPI. You only get one of those numbers and you do that, you go, who's that? So I was in a, you know, environment where I could answer it, and, you know, I could have had a few minutes on the phone even if it was PPI. And it was actually a chap that I've never heard anybody sound so nice on the phone. He knew my name, obviously, before I introduced myself, and it kind of twigged quite early. And then he said he was from BBC East Midlands. In fact, no, the first phone call, was BBC Radio Nottingham, which explains why he's so happy on the phone, being part of a radio team. obviously he'd seen my story on the internet. He wanted to roll with it and wondered if I would go and have an interview to be broadcast on BBC Radio Nottingham within the next few days. So, of course, my answer was yes. Say yes now, panic later. And it was amazing. So I had a good, 4-minute slot on BBC Radio Nottingham being interviewed, and it was incredible. Very nervous though, because obviously that was live. Although you can't see me, that was a live feed, kind of straight out there, never done anything like that before.
Really fresh, sure.
Which has been fantastic. But just before I was about to go on air for the radio, my phone went again, and I thought it was the radio team. Hi Elizabeth, it's so-and-so from BBC's Midlands. And I kind of thought, because I don't watch the news incredibly a lot, I kind of thought it was under the same umbrella. And she said, oh no, Elizabeth, we're TV. So, say yes now, panic later. And within 2 days of that, I was interviewed for BBC's Midlands, which has actually been shown. The clip that they've shown has been shown twice, once last night and obviously once last week. So, but from that, I've obviously had some amazing press and publicity, and that's what's helped drive the total from 600 to 1,600.
Absolutely incredible. So it's worked being on TV to get that extra, kind of reach for people, and hearing, the incredible story of what you've done, as well. Obviously, we'll come on to sort of sharing how people can maybe, donate, etc. as well. And I'd like to do that right at the end, so it's fresh in people's minds. Yeah. Moving on to a subject really that I know that you're quite passionate about talking about, in particular, when I sort of approached you for this. And actually I asked you, well, is it for you or is it for other people? And you said it's more for yourself, and that's to do with kind of mental health during the time of COVID as well. So we kind of mentioned Sean earlier, and you've been together 5 years and incredibly happy together, albeit that you had the tiff on the first evening, and what a lot of people probably don't know is that obviously you don't actually live together.
No.
So you were looking at this house together as well before all COVID happened. How, just explain where you were mentally at that stage, and, how that then made, kind of you both feel.
It's a little bit like, being at an exciting time in your life where you're starting to look for a house and then having the rug pulled from under you. But it's also the same in business sense. I've just got my business where I was happy, because one of the other things I've done is I've trained as a newborn photographer, and so being on so many different training days, and I've just managed to find my feet with it, and then obviously it's like gone. So although I am a proper woman shape, I actually quite like being active, but my active is kind of diary active, appointments, meetings, going to look at new venues, having chats with customers, photo shoots, newborns, going to see Sean one night, staying at home the other. So my diary's I'm always busy. And I knew that one of the things, speaking selfishly, is I knew I'd struggle with lockdown because you can't do anything. And I don't know if that comes from your personality or having your own business is actually, I like to be busy. I like to feel like I've done something that day. I know that sounds pretty honest to say, but I knew once the novelty had worn off, I'd be really uncomfortable, and it would affect me. So I did start it selfishly by just wanting something to do, something to get up in the morning to do, but making a positive difference with my time off, rather than just sitting on my settee shouting at Boris on the TV. So it did start by just trying to find a purpose, you know, a temporary purpose. And, you know, although I can't help people on the front line financially, I can't give them all a hug like you want to do. I'm a hugger. This has been really difficult. It was about trying to find, you know, a use for your time and something to keep me mentally stimulated. Because, you know, it's very hard to think, right, well, I'll do a new business plan, I'll do this, I'll do that. But when your business isn't open, I kind of feel like I'd lost my mojo. Like the fire that's normally within of, you know, your passion for it was put on hold because you don't actually know when you can return to work. You know, if somebody had said to me, right, it's going to be 10 weeks and then you can open again like you want to, then you have a different mindset, don't you? But because obviously we're in such an uncertain time, actually having something that was making a difference for other people that needed it. And some of the comments I've had of people that I've never met have been fantastic. Honestly, I've been in tears talking to people going, you know, why are you saying sorry to me? You know, you're the one that, you know, that needs all the support that I can give you. And obviously I was using my work platform more than my personal one as well, because obviously my business platform has a greater reach. So thank you to my clients that have put up with that over the last kind of 12 weeks, because it's very different, isn't it? Following somebody for photography, then all of a sudden they're on there giving stuff away. You know, so it did start from me just trying to find something to keep me busy, and it's all kind of grown arms and legs from there, really. But it's been an amazing experience, and I would never ever have foreseen it going this big, ever.
So what's next? Are you going to keep on sewing?
So I have really enjoyed it, but you know, I'm under no disillusion that I can continue both with such pace. Now my business is open, it is important to me to return to normality, obviously whatever the new normal is. And although I'm still sewing, you know, on an odd evening here and there, it's nothing in the capacity that it's been the last kind of, you know, 9-10 weeks, because I can't sew all day and run a business, you know, or one of them's going to suffer, really. So it is important that I do kind of regain my normal, but now it is literally just face masks for the public. The demand for the wash bags is, you know, nearly all but gone, which is a good thing, because obviously either they've all got one now. But no, it's very important that we do try and get back to normal. So I do have the odd, you know, wash bag or item. If somebody messages me really lovely, then I will say yes. But it's very hard to run a business anyway, let alone with all the new COVID-19 restrictions, policies, procedures. You know, it's very difficult. So you normally have all of these tabs open anyway. You know, got to edit that, email them, ring these, do that. Let alone trying to go back and sew 30 items a day. You know, I would just burn, I'm afraid. So I'm just trying to do both of them. But yeah, I think I'm going to give myself probably another 10 days to 14 days to sew as much as I can, raise as much as I can, and then I've got to call it quits at some point, unfortunately.
Sure, absolutely. And within that 14-day period, 10 to 14-day period that you're talking about now, I said I'd come on to it. So how can people still help right now? So you know, how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way? And what kind of help, you know, are you still looking for?
Okay. The help really that I'm looking for, obviously with the support of FRV Tailoring, isn't so much as a material help, because obviously, you know, thankfully I've had that support and I've been able to, you know, say thank you to them in every way that I can. I think the only kind of help really going forward is it's now not about the sewing, it's all about the hospice. And I didn't realise actually how close the hospice was to so many people's hearts. And the more I hear about the hospice, the more I love it. So I haven't had any family in there in palliative care, so I don't know what their care is like. But some of the stories I've heard over the last few weeks, Angela, the lady who I spoke to when I first, you know, phoned them to make contact with them, she actually told me that if you were on end of life care and it was February, and you said, I just wish I could have one last Christmas with my family. I'm going to have goosebumps as I'm telling you this. What they will actually do is they'll make Christmas happen. They'll put the tree up, they'll do your full Christmas dinner, they've got all your family and friends there, you know, in their Christmas attire. They'll sing carols, they will do anything they can to help somebody on end of life care, you know, achieve what they want to achieve before their time's up. And they are that lovely. So one of the other things as well, as I said to Angela, is what is it like being there when you are able to go? Obviously I wasn't in a position where I could go and visit and walk around and go, you know, oh, that's the cafe, that's the gift shop. She said, Elizabeth, it's not a sad place. I'm going, what do you mean it's not a sad place? It's a place where people go, you know, on end of life. And she's going, no, it's incredibly happy. It's incredibly positive. People try and make the most of everything for everybody that's in there, because it's not somewhere you know you want to go and be forgotten about. You're there, and you have a lot more care than you can have in a hospital. You have a lot more free reign. You know, they have. I think there was one lady that just wanted to hug her horse again. I know that sounds like something, but if you are like me and you're an animal lover and you miss your horse, I think they actually brought the horse into the car park and the lady out the front and made that happen for her. And she said everybody was crying, and that's not something you could ever do in a hospital. And I think the hospice are just, it's such a personal, it's such a personal organisation that really heavily, as I say, needs support and donations. I know for a fact that they've had fundraisers this year they've had to cancel. I was going to like a masquerade ball with, you know, me, Sean, and both sets of our parents. So tickets were bought, outfits were bought, and obviously that can't go ahead. That could have been potentially another couple of £100 they could have had, that obviously they can't have now. And it's just, you know, places like this will suffer, although they do get some government backing. It's not half as much as I actually think they need. You know, they're one of the things that on the list of people to look after during a pandemic. You know, people are still on end of life care, whether they've got COVID-19 or not. And it's just, you know, the more I talk to people about raising money for the hospice, the more people, you know, they've had loved ones go in there and they've been amazing with them. And I'm so thankful that I made the right choice.
Yeah, and it does sound that way as well. You know, so with that, so donations are going to be, you know, helpful. What's the best way to donate? How can people get in touch with you?
To be fair, anyway,
yeah.
On any platform, you know, carry a pigeon. But probably the best way at the moment is either if they want to get in touch with me direct and pay via bank transfer, then, you know, 100% of that transfer will go straight to the hospice. Or you can pay through Just Giving as well. But obviously Just Giving will take a tiny commission off that before they give it to the charity. But obviously it's whatever way that would be easiest for people to donate. I have been asking that people haven't been donating in cash, just in case of any cross-contamination of anything. That, you know, that means you don't have to go to a cash point, you don't have to drive to Mansfield, you don't have to, you know, then I don't have to go to the post office either. If it's just done from one home to another. But to be fair, Mark, in any platform and in any amount, even if it was £2, you know, I'd be so thankful, and I'm sure that the hospice would as well.
Sure, absolutely. No, it's absolutely incredible work that you're doing, and you know, I'm so happy as well that not only as a, you know, as a business, but, you know, as a friend that we've been back from, you know, college years as well. Just watching your journey and the success is absolutely incredible to watch. And I think everyone's incredibly proud of what you've done and what you continue to do as well. So absolutely brilliant work, Lizzie. And thanks again so much for your time coming on Inspire.
No, really. I'm very thankful to be given the opportunity, and I can't wait to watch your business thrive as well.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Lizzie. Take care now.